Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello. Welcome to, I think we're on part 3 of the Narcissist series. So far this week, how you doing? It's Kristen Nicole Mann, and I am back. And so far this week, we have been going over narcissism. And little backstory, I started a series on narcissists on my TikTok, and it got so much feedback that I decided to just do a series on my Facebook and my YouTube. And yeah, it's been a great experience sharing, little scenarios or stories that I've had with these kinds of people. So I was gonna do, what was I gonna do tonight? I was gonna do a workplace narcissist, but I think I'll save that for tomorrow, and I will do friendship tonight. And I'm not gonna be on here long because I need some rest. But let me share this to my group and we can get started. All right, so I'm doing this because I'm switching it up because there's some people that have asked me about can you be friends with a narcissist? And yes, you can, but it's so it starts off so subtle that you may not even notice. So this is why I'm on here, giving you like scenarios and telling you maybe what to look for when you have narcissistic friends. So the number one thing, and let me give you a recap, because I did romantic relationships, I did narcissism in the church, and tomorrow I will do narcissism in the work environment, but tonight I'm going to do friendship. So the number one thing you need to look for when it comes to narcissistic friends is they're heavily competing with you. So when I say competition, it will not be obvious, but it will be more so behind your back. So I had this situation where I was building a friendship with someone, and this is when I first really dived into another sector of my life. But I was a friend with this person. I was building a friendship. I'm telling them all my dreams, goals, visions, all that. And they're like, a great cheerleader. And they don't seem like they are against anything. So we're like hitting it off with just, sharing what we want to do. So 9 times out of 10 when you share things with people like this, they are actually taking in data. So that's why you want to be careful of who you're sharing your dreams and aspirations with, because they're taking everything that you're saying and they're collecting it as more of data versus like just being your friend. And you'll be able to tell the difference, because that person will move different. If they are narcissistic, they will move differently after you share what exactly you have your eyes on, and they'll start moving differently to compete with that. So I had this one particular person where I accidentally shared something like that I should have kept private, and it was something that I wanted to accomplish. And so that person was very encouraging with this particular thing. And what happened was they gave me this advice. It was really weird. They weren't giving this advice to me in the beginning, but when I started to share what I wanted to actually do, they said, why don't you try to do this? Like, they took me off course with their suggestion, because at the time I was like debating on whether I wanted to go left or right with a certain thing, and they actually like told me to go left versus going, right, whatever the right way is. And so I took that into account, and I was like, well, they, confirm maybe like I want to slow it down and go this route instead. And so maybe I should listen to them. And then time went by, and they ended up doing the same thing that I shared with them. And it was like, what? It was weird because they didn't share that they was going to do this same thing, let alone invite me in on like the planning of it, the whatever the case may be. They didn't say nothing. So I was talking to this person the whole time, and they didn't ever mention nothing about what they were planning on doing. They just acted like, nothing was even going on. And so when that happened, I was really surprised because, for one, it was a learning lesson. Like, don't share too much. People are always not, pure at heart. So that was the first lesson. But the second lesson was I really had to like kind of assess what they saw in me that they may wanted for themselves. And this is not everybody, but when you have narcissistic people, they come around you for a certain motive. Whether it's work, whether it's church, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, they come around you for a specific thing. And so this specific thing was, ideas to, make themselves look good. And what happened was they took off with this idea, and it worked out for them. But I didn't notice the first time, like, that this was like narcissistic behavior. I was kind of just like, all right, I'm gonna let them have that one. Maybe that was for them. Maybe sorry, my nose is kind of cold in here. But maybe that's for them. Maybe I should just, do something else and support them with their dreams. So I didn't look at it as competition or anything. But as time went on, I started seeing like more of what I shared with this person and them doing exactly what I said. But then them encouraging me on the backhand of doing something else outside of my lane. So it was like this person strategically encouraged me to step outside of what I was called for or what gifting I had so that they could take up space in this specific lane. And this is what narcissists do. They're very sneaky, conniving, and they strategize to do this stuff. So they're not, do not think that they just made this up. They're very strategic in how they use people, how they want to be near people or around people. And so this was very strategic. They saw something in me that they needed at the time. And so they drew off of that within our conversation, and it helped them build something that they may were able to get admiration for. And so that's another thing, like I was saying yesterday, and throughout this whole series, that narcissists, they really crave admiration from people. And we all, truthfully, we all have some narcissism within us. Like, we aren't, no one's innocent. There is a healthy form of narcissist that or narcissism that we all have in us, because we have to believe in ourselves to a certain extent when we want to get certain things done. But at the same time, there are the extreme sides of it, where people they believe in themselves so much that they feel no one else can do what they're doing, or no one else is better at what they're doing. So they really play on downing people or treating people a certain way. And so that's one incident. And obviously that didn't end well, because I ended up confronting the person and I told them like, hey, I'm noticing all these things and like, do you have a problem with me? And no, they just they didn't like that I did that. And so they wrote me off and just never talked to me again. And it was like, okay, well, here we go. And so you can have friendships that you come into genuinely, and if you are a person with a big heart, these are the type of things that these people look for so that they can get over on you. And when usually you have a big heart sometimes, I know in the past when I just felt obligated to give to people, like give my all in serving them, give my all in you name it. It really was unhealthy, and it stems from childhood, because if you grew up in an environment where you always had to work for love per se, like for my case, it wasn't like my dad was intentionally trying to have us work for his love, but when someone is battling an addiction, this type of grooming can happen through that, because when they're not level-headed, when they're not sober, you are actually competing with the addiction to get this person's attention. So when you are a person with a big heart, and you want to give, and it's like almost in an unhealthy manner, we have to take time to evaluate like how our childhood was set up. Because when we're in friendships with these type of people, we tend to overdo our part. So we're doing the helping, we're trying to encourage them, we're trying to do all these things, but we're not getting anything in return. So if you are deciding to maybe go back to school, or if you're deciding to start a business, that person that's narcissistic, that's your friend, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to say anything to you. They're not really going to congratulate you. It's just kind of going to be like, oh, okay. And they'll go on talking about themselves. And so, if you are friends with this kind of person and you feel like maybe you let someone like this in so far with what I've said, just assess the situation and figure out how you can maybe get out of it, or maybe you need to talk to that person. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take a sip of water because... All right, so that was just one scenario. And I'm really doing these series to like help people out, because they don't have the language for what they may be dealing with. So you may be dealing with a friend right now that you just don't feel like have your back. Like you're just kind of like, they're never there for me. I feel like I'm always overextending myself. I feel like I'm always calling them. They're always asking me what am I, doing, or what am I up to, but they never want to give me information. They always act weird when I like turn around and ask them something. You may know someone like this, or you may have became close to someone like this, and you really just want to assess the situation. You don't have to necessarily like cut them off and then go ghost, but you want to make sure that you have healthy people around you this year. So you might have to have a hard conversation with that person. Also, if you feel isolated with this person, so there are friends, I've witnessed friends of my friends go through things with their friends that I don't know, where they feel like the person just takes up so much space that they don't have time for anyone else. If you have a friend like that that really kind of gets jealous of you hanging with other people, or they just want you all to themselves all the time, 24/7, that's toxic. and it's most of the time it's narcissistic behavior. So you want to assess the situation, because if you are drawn away from your other friends and this person is kind of like not wanting you to have any other friends, that's not good. And they don't want to really meet your other friends, that's not really good. So that's another thing. One was competition. The second one is isolation. And that could be parallel to romantic relationships as well. If you are with a romantic partner or someone you're involved with and they're always competing with you, whether it's male or female, and they're always they don't want you to go out. You kind of just feel like you're by yourself all of a sudden and you don't know anyone. That's a sign. That's a sign. That's a sign. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not trying to give anyone advice to leave their situations, but I'm just letting you know through experience. Another thing before I get off of here, because I told you I'm not going to really be that long tonight. Because, alright, so, yesterday I talked about gaslighting. That could be in friendships as well. You could get gaslighting from friends that are narcissists. Gaslighting is like, for example, they joke on something that you're sensitive about, and they say, like, after they say the joke, they're like, why are you taking this so serious? It's just a joke. Like, laugh. And they like start condemning you even more for not taking it as a joke. And you're like, why would you bring that up as a joke? This is something that is sensitive to me and you're being insensitive. You don't want friends like that. I'm just gonna say flat out, like, you want friends that have compassion for your tough times that you're going through. Both of y'all equally are giving each other compassion about, certain things that are not good, sad. You're sad about it sometimes, or you maybe you went through a breakup and this person's joking about your breakup, and then they're telling you, like, take a joke. That's not really, like, that's not good. So like I said before, narcissists, they lack empathy. So that is a form of lacking empathy as well. And you can have friendships where the person lacks empathy when you come to them and confide in them about certain things, that bothers you, or, you went through a rough time with someone in your family and they just don't have no empathy. That's a sign. That's the number one thing across the board, whether it's friendships, romantic, church, work, you name it. If a person does not have empathy for what you are going through and y'all are close in relationship and you have empathy for what they're going through, but they can't in return have empathy, that's some narcissistic behavior. Last thing, if you have friends that feel like they are better than you, meaning they treat you as if you're beneath them and you are not their equal. They're just like treating you like a peasant or, a servant, or you just always have to do something for them. That's not your friend. And they have some real narcissist behavior. So you want friends that encourage you just as much as you encourage them. And if you all are not doing the same thing as far as, like, maybe job, or you might have married friends and you might be the single one, but they're encouraging you to get married versus, like, showing off and making it seem like you're never going to get married, or they just really think like they're better than you because they may have done that before you. I don't know if that's really a friend, y'all. I don't know. but you can assess the situation. But jealousy and competition, that's the main one in friendships. Like I explained before in the story, the person was competing with me first at a subtle pace, but then I recognized, like, I started revving up my, you know, I was, it's like you jogging in a park and like you're jogging by yourself, and then all of a sudden this person comes up beside you and they're like jogging and talking to you, and then they try to pick up the pace and they try to like run faster than you, and then you try to run fast, and then all of a sudden y'all are in a full race to the finish line. That's how it was with that particular friendship, because I didn't notice that I was coming out of character because I was in a whole competition without even knowing. So every time, the person did something that I have expressed to them that I wanted to do, I was like put in a position, from what I felt, put in a position to go 10 times harder. That's not a friendship. That's not a friendship. A friendship is someone that is walking side by side with you. And then they might be in your life forever. They might not. But, narcissists, they are really self-centered. So if they're always the topic of discussion, everything always comes back to them when y'all are talking about something. They don't equally hear you out. They're not good listeners when it comes to y'all's conversation. You just want to assess that, evaluate that, because that is signs of narcissism. Everyone's not a narcissist, and like I said before, we all have to some extent some narcissist behavior within us, because that's what our society teaches us on the Western culture. We can't really dodge or hide from it. We're taught to believe in ourselves. We're taught to accomplish certain things. Like, I used to be in the corporate world, so they teach you there, like, go after these positions, and you're going up against a whole bunch of people, so you have to put that competition mode on. But it's unhealthy when you're like going to the extreme of putting people down and just being nasty. And if you have a friend like this, run. Run. I have other stories. I mean, I could tell you this quick story. It's just like, I had this one friend that had like no empathy. I mean, just always long faces, straight face. Just didn't have, it was just cold, And I was like trying, and I was trying, and I was trying, and it was just unfortunate, because afterwards, and finding out all this information about narcissism and all this stuff, it's like, that wasn't really a friend. They were around for a certain motive, and I'm not innocent, y'all. I'm not saying everybody in my life came and I wasn't the bad guy and all that. Like, I did stuff too, but I know growing up into being like a woman, and after having my child and stuff, it's like you get to a point where you just like get rid of like most of the foolishness, and you want to better yourself. And when people don't want to better themselves after a certain point, you have to like let them go. And that's when I learned, like, this is just not working. As a friendship, I feel like I am always rah with you, but when it comes to me, you want to know more of like what's going on with me, and you want to just like you want to be negative with me, but then you want to kind of like keep your stuff over here. It was just really weird. It was a divide, and I didn't feel like we were really friends. I just felt like she was collecting data to better herself, and know which way to go. And most narcissists don't really know or have a vision, a clear vision of who they are. Like I said, it stems from their childhood. So trauma is the number one reason why there are narcissists that are extreme, because most of the ones that I've known, they've had an issue with their mom. That's just a theme that I notice. It's not everyone, but there's, ones that I've been involved with romantically, friendships, at work, in the church. They've always had this theme of having a problem with their mother. Either their mother was not in their lives, or their mother was in and out of their lives, or their mother was around and they just was not, they was a narcissist as well. And they was just not, they didn't have no empathy towards their child, or like it was always a strained relationship with their mom. And so I think if you are watching this or you're watching a replay, really assess the relationship with your mom. And then your dad too. With my, childhood, like I said, I had a dad that had an addiction. So when you're growing up with that, you are conditioned to look at the world in a different way. You're kind of like thinking all men are like that, or all females are like that, when you grow up with a parent that's addicted to stuff. So you're always in the position to help. Like you always want to help. I know for me, I always wanted to help my dad, and that groomed being taken advantage of throughout my life, because I was always trying to help someone that was in need. And I always tried to date people that were projects. And this is who we draw to. We draw to narcissists because they need us, they use us, especially the ones that's coming from jacked up childhood. So, and they know when you're vulnerable too, friendship wise too. They know when you're vulnerable. They know that they can use you and they can be close to you, and they know that they're not going to get found out because you have so much going on. You have all this maybe drama going on in your life, or they just come in when you're vulnerable, and they come as this savior, but they're really not. They're actually wolf in sheep's clothing. And so I am done talking about that, but I will put this on YouTube. Follow me on TikTok at Kristen Nicole Man, and also you can follow me on YouTube under the same name, Kristen Nicole Man. And so I hope you all are learning from this series. I'm going to be talking about work environment tomorrow, and I'm going to end it out with just a recap of all of these things. Oh, no, I have to do family. Ooh, I have to do family. Sorry, y'all, to burst your bubble, but there's probably a narcissist in your family closer than you think. And so I have to do family because most people don't know that people close to you can be like the worst enemy that you can have. And so me being a believer, I found once I got closer to God, that's when stuff really started to shake my world, because I was like, wow, I thought this person was really for me, and then I thought this person was, and then you find out it's so sad. And it's not to say that you have to hate these people, but you want to set boundaries. That's the whole point of this series. I want people to help, in a healthy manner, set boundaries for them so that they can really do what God's called them to do, and they can stop overworking, overthinking their brains, and always thinking about the negativity of this person or the situation, because it really blocks. These are people put in your path by the enemy to stop what you're supposed to be doing, your purpose. And so the enemy is crafty. He'll put these people like in your path, close to you, and then they're just there as an assignment to steer you off. And like I explained before, this girl was put in my life to steer me off on a detour. But God had given me a dream about a suggestion that she made that I actually like came in agreement with. And he gave me a dream that I was like riding on this road. It was paved, it was sunshine. I was on the highway, and I saw this exit, and I got off, and all of a sudden it was like stormy. It got black, like the clouds started coming in. It was windy. It was like I ran into like a tornado, and trees was falling, and this one tree almost hit my car, and I was able to back up off that road that wasn't paved. It was like gravel. And so I was able to back up and get back on the highway, and it was sunny again, and it was paved road again, and I just was able to get on. So it's like God was showing me that although I was like detouring, I have time to get back on the path that he created for me. And that was a wake-up call, because imagine you having a dream like that when you're about to make a decision that would change your life forever in a negative way, and he gives you that right before you do it. So I don't know how people survive without God. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. Y'all missing out. I might look raggedy now, but y'all are missing out on the things that God can save you from. Like, I mean, I was really going down another path because of one suggestion. And we have to be careful of not making people God. Because we can take what someone says to heart so much that we don't even go back and ask God, is that your decision for my life? Is that what you want me to do? So I was in a position where I wasn't asking God nothing. I was just like, oh, she's confirming maybe some doubts and thoughts that I had. And so I'm going to go and do this thing. And yeah, like, we got to be careful. And so I'm so grateful that I'm able to share with people this. This is not an easy task, because a lot of people don't think narcissism is real. They think it's just like, the person's mean, or the person is just, going through a phase or something. But this is really out here destroying people's lives. And it's destroying family. It's destroying people when they get in romantic relationships. Like I said, some of the narcissists are abusive, so they could be, harming and putting people in danger at the same time. So this is a real thing, and it's really dangerous, and I just want people to know. So I will be back on tomorrow with another part of the series, but this will be on YouTube. So have a good night. Bye.